the time has come. Austin, which one was your favorite among these entries? To your
It
thoughts.
sounds like I shouldn't. Sounds like I shouldn't be the one to choose a favorite, to be honest. Um, how do I like pick one without being crucified? Um,
It's
Fair
artist
enough.
subjective, artist subjective. So
Okay. Objectively speaking, my favorite out of the five that we went over would go to.
hey everybody,
Awesome.
welcome to our second episode of the Saturday Roundtable. And we're doing the Summer of Manga series, so this is part two. In our first episode, we reviewed, I believe, six different summer manga entries: Aquila the Mighty, The Sweeper, Magical Fantasy Football, Urban Vogue,
That's what it
Mowgli's
was.
Choice, and Don't Lose Your Head. So those were the six that we reviewed for the first episode. For this episode, we're going to be covering Giga Strike, Monster Project, Mendel Peace, Ghost Slayer Rex, and A Mighty Sword. So lots of good titles, and they're created by people all over the world that we've hand selected. So we're just really excited to get started. And before we review the entries, I just kind of wanted to cover a couple things because I know you guys watching this, you might have some questions like, okay, well, how do I join Summer of Manga? Or, what's the process for Saturday AM in terms of, getting inside the company and working with everyone. So we're going to cover that really quick. But I wanted to introduce some of our new guests. We have Morgan Walker, who is returning from our previous episode. And Morgan, want to say hi?
Hi. Yeah, yeah. I'm Morgan Walker. I'm creator of Soulbeat. I also contribute other stuff like logos and commentary, as you can tell, for Saturday AM. Happy to be back. My memory's a little fuzzy from last week, just because I've been working on Soulbeat all week. But really excited to be reviewing the next round of artists. First round was certainly a banger.
It really was, and we're excited to see the other entries and just review them. And next we have Austin Harvey, and he is our supreme editor, and he's the guy who's basically running Summer of Manga. So I'll let you take the stage, Austin.
Hey, how's it going, guys? If you haven't seen me before or any have watched any of these videos before, then I'm Austin Harvey-Jonas, head editor in Saturday AM. And if you've read the Summer of Manga issue, I was the one who did the letter of the publisher. So, yeah.
That's true. I saw that you were a little sneaky sneak.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we have David Yoon. David Yoon is another one of our artists from Saturday AM, and his series is called Spoon. Go ahead, David. Take it away.
Well, yeah, it's nice to see everybody. As always, you could read Spoon on pilotmanga.com with other great titles. And I'm just finishing up the remastered, and I'm hoping to get to new content this year.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome stuff.
Love to
Awesome.
see it.
Yeah, yeah. Both you, David, and Morgan, you guys have really gotten a lot better with your art. Just with time, and it's going to be exciting to see your latest chapters. But yeah, speaking of Summer of Manga, I wanted to go ahead and just ask Austin uh, a question regarding Summer of Manga. So what
Mhm.
would you kind of describe the process like from like the beginning into like the deadline, from the moment someone registers to the moment they have to make their comic by the deadline? Could you kind of describe that process for someone who just kind of wants to get familiar with, what we require of the artists?
So yeah, when the time comes and our annual time for Summer of Manga, we usually ask creators to pitch us their idea. We'll probably ask a couple of questions of like, what's the story about? What's its title? You know, do you have any created art posted anywhere so that we can take a look and kind of assess you as a creator? And then we as a company kind of look at the titles that have been submitted. And this year was special because we kind of did it on a round table. So that might be the new way of doing things from now on, where we kind of go over each title and each artist and creator and kind of weigh in the options of, okay, well, we have a lot of talent or a lot of people and that have submitted their stuff, and we have to see who is who is ready for that challenge, because realistically Summer of Manga is a challenge, because making comics is a challenge. So we do our best to kind of pick the best of the litter, or who is ready to kind of um, take on the challenge. And just because we don't pick you for 1 year doesn't mean that we won't pick you for the next. So it's obvious that we're not saying that you can't do this. We're saying that, try again next year. um, and from there, we meet, or at least I meet, one on one with each creator and kind of get a more in depth analysis of what their story is, who they are as an artist, and kind of get to know them more and get to know their story more. And then from there, I take that little information and I mosey on over to our publisher Frederick, and him and we kind of discuss and kind of think about, okay, uh, who needs to be challenged in what way, um, and from there we kind of decide, okay, who gets how many pages. So sometimes you get 10 pages to tell a story, sometimes you get 21 pages to tell a story, sometimes you get 15 pages to tell a story, and we usually kind of work like that. um, so yeah, and then from there, it's when I let people know what their page limit is and their page count is. It's really kind of just sitting down with them, and I offer myself and I promote myself as a tool to be used. Now, some people use me, um, and I phrased that probably pretty wrong, but that's fine.
Sounds awful.
Yeah. Some people use me, some people abuse me. Uh,
Oh no.
um, some people choose to not really use me at all, which is fine. I don't promote that I need to uh, be heavily in part of their process if they think that they have all of their stuff figured out, and
Mm.
they only want to talk to me once and then get their stuff going. It's far be it from me to be controlling, but I am there to try and help them make their series better. And oftentimes we get a lot of creators who want to do a lot in 10 pages, 15 pages, 21 pages. And I'm there to help them and be like, okay, you have this many pages. There's no way you'd be able to do that. Or, help them kind of improve on what story points that they have. And honestly, Morgan and David can speak to this in bounds. Like having a page limit really does challenge you. You think you can do a lot, but 10
Mhm.
pages, 15 pages, 20 pages goes fast.
So, do you
So
think,
Yeah.
in light of that, do you think, Austin, some of these artists would have really benefited from talking with you about their plot and how they were going to work out things? Or do you think a lot of these
um
artists did pretty good on their own?
there's some that probably would have benefited more from a little bit more one-on-one time. I think I definitely had at least one-on-one meetings at least once with all of the creators. Um, Unfortunately, I am not their parent, so I can't always. I just want the pages done. It sounds very heartless when I say it like that, but it is kind of like part of the competition and the challenge is I you're there to use me, I will make time for you. Um, so I can't be their parent and be like, no, you need me right? It's also
Mhm.
part of discovering themselves as a creator to be like, what supports do I need?
Mhm.
Where do I feel I'm weakest, and where do I feel like I am in need of those supports?
Mhm.
So it's part of the challenge to kind of recognize that for themselves as well.
Yeah, yeah, and we're gonna take a look at the rest of these entries, but I did wanted to ask, I wanted to ask quickly, David and Morgan, what what qualities do you think makes a great one shot? Out of because you guys have read all of the one shots for Summer of Manga for this year, 2022. So, what kind of qualities do you see that make the best one shots?
Morgan, you can go first.
Oh, I was going to offer you the floor. Um, I guess if I had to distill it down to three things, one is being able to tell a complete story, having a beginning, middle, and end. Whether it has a twist or not, I don't think is relevant. I think it depends on the story being told, but it definitely has to feel complete. The
Mm,
second thing that I think we learned from the last review was that you have to have a character that really matters, even if it's a character that doesn't speak, as we'll see in one of our entries tonight. It just has to be someone that, whatever their story is, whatever is being told, that you want to go along with the ride with them, and it has to be a character that's worth investing your time in as a reader. Um, and then I think the third one, I think it just has to be interesting. Like, it has to be eye catching in a way, not necessarily the art, but just in terms of concept, layouts. It has to be something that's going to stand out, that's going to want to merit future installments.
mm.
Those would be like the first three things that come to mind. There's a lot more, obviously.
Right on, right on. How about
Um,
you, David?
Based off of, yeah, going off of what Morgan said, it has to have a feeling of like completeness, and it's like well planned out with those pages. It can be, you have to make it somehow engaging. It doesn't need to be like gory or whatever, but like, like I struggle with the same thing when I did draft up a plot. It's like, oh, this seems, just no, doesn't make it interesting. So,
Mm,
and I feel like telling the world, explaining the world in one chapter is also important. Um, which one of them did, but I'll talk about that later. But yeah,
yeah,
so that's my, and of course the character designs have to like be unique. It can't just be bland or simple. It's got to pop out somehow.
right, right. I agree. I agree. Those are all very good points. Um, I guess we'll see. Let's go ahead and let's review some of these and see what these creators have made. So the first one that we are reviewing tonight is going to be Giga Strike by Young Wavy the artist. So let me go ahead and quickly move over to where he is located. Alrighty, we have Giga Strike by Young Wavy the artist. I believe, yes, this artist is located in America, and there's no description that was given. Looking, so I ended up looking for a description here. I'll go ahead and read it for you guys, so you guys who are watching get kind of an idea of what this one shot was about. But in a supernatural world where 90% of humanity is enslaved by fallen angels known as the Fallen Ones, a guardian angel was sent to Earth to restore balance and maintain peace, but was killed. Then 200 years later, reincarnated in the form of a young boy named Baran. Because of this, he doesn't remember his purpose or where he came from, but to protect the small village he grew up in from a fallen angel that is seeking him. Baran is forced to remember who he truly is. And I am not too sure. That was his original plot for this one shot. I'm not sure how much it was changed from this original plot. Austin can probably point some things out that was different, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And I'll go ahead and give the floor to David. And David, you could provide your thoughts on this one shot if you remember what it was about.
Yeah, so I thought it kind of, when I heard angels and fallen angels, I instantly thought of Evangelion a little bit. I've been following this artist on Instagram, and I always thought his weapon was unique. So I was kind of excited when this finally came out. Um, I felt like it was with the page limit, with the page count, it it felt like incomplete. It could have had a few more pages at the end, so it felt like it left off on a like odd spot. I felt like it could have used a couple more pages, and I did kind of get confused with the character design near the end, with what was going on with the angels. But overall, I think the art is good, and some of the sequences are pretty good. It has
Yeah.
potential.
Yeah. No, this artist is definitely a heavy hitter. What do you think, Morgan?
The artwork is very striking. Reminds me a lot of Tsutomu Nihei, and obviously Fujimoto, who's also inspired by Nihei. I think though, if Young Wavy's not already following those kinds of artists, I think what he could learn is maybe doing stronger background designs, and maybe just stronger contrast with the black and white that he has. Because I think for me, some of the fight scenes got very muddy and confusing.
Yes.
So it kind of lost me a little bit in those segments. I actually prefer some of the still shots that he has, the close-ups of characters, the sort of larger, like this page in particular, this environmental shot of like looking in space down at the earth. Like there's a lot of really compelling shots that he's set up, but I think as soon as he starts to incorporate action, it just becomes a bit messy for me. Story wise, the synopsis he gave obviously threw me for a loop. I'm like, okay, some of that sounds familiar, but it definitely changed in the final product. I think it's an interesting story. It certainly kept me going from start to finish to kind of see how it resolved. And I really do like the last page, actually. I don't think it was too confusing what was happening, but it did seem the final conflict ended pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what say you, Austin? I know you got to really be involved with this particular artist and helping him develop the story. So, what do you think of the outcome of his one shot?
So before it was called Giga Strike, it was called Guardian Reborn. So that's where like kind of like the original concept came from. So as it kind of boiled down, this was one of those series that I was trying to, and it's tough, right? Because you want the creator to still have what they had originally in mind to create. Um, so with this, it was kind of just like trying to boil it down to what can we do in 21 pages. And while he did have those pages, like 21 pages is like the max limit that we gave, there was still a lot that he was trying to do. And it's a skill to learn that, right? Like he is obviously very talented, but like you guys said, like sometimes, some of the scenes were a little bit muddy and, you know, it feels like a little bit rushed. Um, so there was kind of just like some back and forth with the story and the direction and indecisiveness until like it was just about time to be like, okay, this is what you got to do. Let's just do it, right? Because you don't have a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
and you got to get to it.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that, I could kind of see that, but I didn't know about the the rushing part of it. I will say I do really enjoy this artist's style, and I it reminds me a lot of the messy kind of look of a Chainsaw Man. If you read like the beginning chapters, the artist has kind of like a messy style of like sketchy. I should say sketchy. And it's same with this artist, Young Wavy. He has kind of like a sketchy style that he likes to implement. As you can see here, this is kind of like a little scribble of like some lines. Um, and I do agree. Backgrounds are okay. That could be better. Um, some of the impacts of this scene, I feel, they're just, quickly done. So maybe if the artist kind of more focused on, focuses more on making clear line art, um, I would say that that would probably be good. I'll give you an example here. So you're seeing during the action scenes, it's kind of fuzzy. It's a lot of the sketchy style there. But if you go to like pages like this, it's different. You see, it's all toned. There's lots of black and white contrast. Everything is thick. I think if the artist stuck to this particular style through the whole one shot, I think this probably would have been artistically more impactful. As far as the story goes, I thought the story was decent. It reminded me a lot of like a typical shonen story, where you see like with supernatural like angels and demons, which is not bad. I mean, I like the story. I do wish maybe a little bit more was thought into it, to make it even more interesting. But I would say this is not a bad one shot for sure. This is probably one of the better ones that I've seen out of the bunch personally. But yeah, do you guys have any other thoughts or opinions on Young Wavy's one shot?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Yep, same here.
Awesome, awesome. So that was Young Wavy, the artist from America, and his one shot Giga Strike. So if you guys enjoy the one shot, make sure to go vote for him inside of our recent issue of Saturday AM. So let's go ahead and move on to our next manga, which I believe Monster Project by Jello Studios, and I believe he is located in the Philippines. Am I correct? Is that the Philippine flag?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet, sweet. Yes, so let me go ahead and zoom in here. Morgan, would you like to read the description of Jello Studios Monster Project?
Yeah, let me just zoom in there. It says AJ Alvarez, a Monster Hunter trainee who relies
Actually,
heavily.
that might. Sorry, Morgan. I think that might
Uh-oh.
be the Irish flag. Actually.
Well, he says at the end of his commentary that it's based on Filipino
Mm.
anthology.
That does look like
Gotcha.
the Irish flag, though.
Yeah.
Now that I see it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, editing error.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure he's Filipino. I'm pretty sure. Um,
That's what I thought too.
yeah, I saw something
Anyway,
I saw something he did with Piggy Hammer, and it was like a Asian,
Southwest Asian Squad.
yeah, Southwest Asian
Hashtag
squad.
Southwest Asian Squad. Yeah, that's my new favorite. Or Southeast Asian Squad, sorry. That's my new favorite hashtag.
Yeah, yeah, it was on Instagram. Yeah, I saw that too. All right, well, yeah, go ahead, Morgan. Didn't mean to interrupt
Yeah,
you there.
that's fine. His story is about AJ Alvarez, a Monster Hunter trainee who relies heavily on his weapon and then realizes that true strength is not in the weapons, it is in yourself.
Okay, so this is Monster Project. I'll stick with you, Morgan. What did you think of this one shot?
Yeah, I mean, I was really excited to learn a little bit about Filipino culture. I like that he incorporated that in these creatures. I think they're called the Aswangs. Um, it was an interesting concept. I really like the art style. I think it's very unique and very different from what we typically see. And I like the minimal amount of color to sort of highlight certain moments throughout the one shot. I think the two issues overall is maybe the power system. It doesn't really work well with the art style that he has. This idea of being covered in shadow, because then it sort of loses its impact compared to the rest of the style, or compared to the rest of the art that's around it. It kind of gets blended into the background a bit. And then the main character, while I liked him later, like this initial introduction really threw me. I wasn't really impressed by his introduction. I think he just came off as kind of a strange character, and I don't know if maybe it was just the way that the dialogue happens here or what, but this scene didn't really wow me with the introduction of the main character, and I think that kind of carried through the rest of the one shot, where I just wasn't quite as interested in his story afterward.
Mm, gotcha. What do you think, David?
I pretty much share similar thoughts as Morgan. Like the opening page, I couldn't tell what his mouth was, like what the direction was going. But I do like the style. It kind of reminds me of um, like the Nightmare Before Christmas kind of stuff.
Mm,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, but yeah, I mean, so it was just kind of yeah, it was just a unique style, and that's really all how I felt about it. That's it.
Yeah. There's a lot of like American kind of cartoon inspiration too. Like I feel like this artist watched a lot of like Cartoon Network. Just like our previous artist, the Sweeper, I believe. Milk by Milk Dimension. Yeah, I get that vibe too. What about you, Austin?
This one was kind of interesting to work on because it's a simple concept, so it unlike the others, like it wasn't more or less like trying to pull back the artist from create like trying to put in too much. It was more or less okay, so what are we aiming for in this one shot? Because at the end of the day, we have our main character who comes from this line of hunters, uh, you know, tasked with guarding humanity and um, using his hunter lineage to, protect against the Oswangs. And, there's potential there to like kind of see different types of monsters. And it really captures what Saturday AM is about, like capturing the culture and like showing different cultures and what like different monsters look like.
Mhm.
Um, but there is something about the style that is like it tries to do something unique, and in some cases it feels good, and then in other cases it doesn't feel as good, right?
Right.
um
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
attempt at comedy, and then we get really dark, so it's sometimes, I guess, like what Morgan said, right? Like the comedy doesn't really land
Mhm.
in the beginning, and but does the gut punch at the end, where the main character kind of is, kind of distraught, does that land? And that's kind of a question up for debate.
Yeah. I think I really like the concept of this one shot. I think one of my favorite things about this was the design of the main character. I think he looks really cool. He has a really good silhouette. Um, and I really I like the he's kind of awkward, but he's also like he's very good at martial arts and stuff like that. It kind of reminds me of like Deadpool almost in a way. I don't know if you guys get those vibes, Deadpool vibes. Um, but I think the thing with this is one, it didn't quite feel like a manga. And when I say that, I mean in particular the dialogue balloons. If you notice that they're squares when usually it's
Hmm.
circles. So I think that kind of threw me off a little bit. It made it almost feel like it was like a comic like on Newgrounds. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Newgrounds with the tank. It's like a older website. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I I kind of get that vibe. Like it doesn't really feel like a manga. The style, I can see the style, like the art style. I can see it. You trying to be like something in between like manga and maybe like American. Um, but I will say the biggest thing I had with this one was that in some instances the art almost looked too simple. Not that simple is bad, but oversimplifying things sometimes it comes across as like almost like amateurish. um like right here in this first panel here where you just see that one building and then there's not really much going on. um I don't know. I feel like it just takes away. Like there could have been more detail. There could have been more work done with the background. If you look at right here where he's like stuck in an alley corner. There not much is really drawn there, so it's a little bit too simple. Um, and then just the last thing I would say was there was one part of the story that kind of threw me off. This part right here where he's talking on the phone. I didn't really know what was going on here. It might have been just the panel layout, but I was a little bit confused, like who was calling him and if the guy who was calling him was the monster. Like I was a little bit confused what was happening there. So maybe if this artist kind of worked on their panel layouts and storytelling, I probably would have been in the element a little bit more. But I appreciate this dark part at the end, where he's gonna try to save his grandma, I guess, and save himself and defeat the monsters. See, I like, just this intense action scene. So artist is very talented. But I mean, what do you guys have to say on that?
Um, for me personally, yeah, like there's some like really good scenes like back like when you look back and you kind of like have like the monster kind of um just kind of like bragging off, and then you like the last panel like that felt good. Just seeing that tongue just get cut
Mm-hmm.
is like that's a kind of like a feel good moment.
Yeah.
And by feel good, I mean like yeah, this thing gets its fucking comeuppance. Um,
Yeah.
so like it's kind of like that classic anime rage moment. Um, and like there's some positives, there's some negatives. It's not, it's a mixed bag, is essentially what we're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you got it. I think you pretty much summed it up there. But yeah, awesome stuff. This is Monster Project again by Jello Studios. And let's go ahead and move on to the next artist we have. We have Mendel Peace by Rob Future. So let me go ahead and jump over. And we do not have a description for this one either. So I went ahead and wrote my own little description for this particular one shot. Rob Future, by the way, is from America. And his story goes as follows. A young boy named Pete visits a place called Guinea Town, where the residents are suffering from a drought and crop destruction due to two troublesome brothers who can control the weather. Will Pete be able to get rid of these brothers once and for all? And that is my little paraphrasing of the story. Let's go ahead and let's get Austin's thoughts on this one shot. Austin, what do you think?
So this working with the creator was quite interesting because at first you all may remember that he pitched something else, and uh, it was it was brought to the attention that this um, the one shot that he did propose was already on Webtoon,
Mm,
um, and while that's great that we got to see your work on Webtoon, we don't usually like seeing the same concept that you already tried on Webtoon and trying to put it in for Summer of Manga. So that being said, I met with him and I asked him to like kind of take another jab at it, see what else. But obviously, what takes the big thing that kind of stands out here is that his style is very Akira Toriyama, Doctor Slump kind of stuff. So that really, I guess, like makes his work stand out in that way because of it. Like a lot of people are very in tune with Akira Toriyama and his style.
mhm.
So when they see something like that, I feel like they are naturally drawn to this. Um, Now that being said, we did give him a limit of 15 pages, and he went over that limit.
Mm,
So he did 18 pages. And in this case, you have to kind of ask yourself, did those 3 extra pages add to the story? So was taking those 3 pages necessary to go over your limit? And does it deliver? It's not up for me to decide that, obviously. David and Morgan can kind of talk about that and how they felt about it. But obviously, a big thing about this was comedy. And for those who don't know or don't remember, I used to write comedy for Better Off Ignorant. Now, whether or not I was funny or not, I thought I was pretty funny. Um,
oh yes.
and I still do. I still do. I think I'm pretty hilarious. It's
Mr.
it's not
Papaya Man.
easy. Comedy, yeah, exactly. Um, Comedy is not easy, right? And I like it's it's not for everybody. Not every joke is going to get everybody the same way. So this was a very interesting one to kind of see because this was also a creator that kind of you worked at his own pace, didn't use me as much, didn't want to discuss the story as much or the jokes as much. Um, so this is more or less the case of like, okay, well, he has an interesting style. It's definitely a very inspired style. He did some colored pages as well, which is great. But then at the end of the day, did the 3 pages that he took to work on his one shot, did they add much? And did the comedy that he was trying to, tell with his story land? And that's not up for me to decide, right?
It sounds like you have something to say, Morgan. What do you think?
I was gonna say it's very diplomatic of you, to defer to everyone else to provide commentary.
Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of my role.
Yeah. So, what'd you make of this story, Morgan?
I mean, I think it's very cute. Like Austin said, very Akira Toriyama inspired, even in the storytelling and the jokes. Which I don't know if it's because of that connection that it seems to work well, or if it really is that funny. I think I agree with Austin. I obviously the last couple pages are really good. There's some color artwork in the final shot of him attacking these guys, and I thought the ending was kind of cute. I think for me, it's somewhere else in this one shot where he could have cut down, either making smaller panels or cutting out some of the scenes. I think it could have been a lot more direct and to the point. The biggest issue I had was just not understanding the premise as soon as we get into the chapter. There's a lot of maybe lore or world building that just was really excluded. So I didn't really understand until he showed up and these other characters are explaining what's happened, that it just felt like, okay, the first couple pages we just have scenes that don't really have a lot of context for what's happening, which was a little bit unfortunate because I really do like Pete Tuna. The comment I wrote was Pete Tuna is a whole mood. And I loved every second that he was on the page. He's really fun. And obviously the colored pages are really fantastic. I almost would have preferred to see the whole chapter in color. He did such a good job. So yeah, the biggest thing for me, I think, was just the storytelling. It was just really confusing in the lead up to these kind of fun scenes against these unusual enemies.
Yeah, no, I agree. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what everyone else said. The art is like Akira Toriyama-ish. The line work, the story with the puns. I'm not really a fan of pun mangas to say. It's just not my kind of thing. But I could respect the art and the style. I like his pen work, and the color pages were nice. So I think he has potential in the future for other works. So, but I was overall, yeah. I don't know what he used to color, but everything felt very hand drawn and clean. So I like that. That was my, so that's what I liked about this piece.
Yeah, I love
And,
this cover picture right here with the coloring. It's beautiful. I think it's digital. I mean, I could be wrong, but maybe it's like uh maybe it's traditional. I don't know. But I yeah, it could be, it looks traditional, yeah. But yeah, these days you could do watercolor digitally, so you never know. But I thought the story was cute. It was charming, and I definitely see the Dragon Ball influence there. Um, and he made it his own. He designed his own characters and stuff. Um, and I think he takes it to another level. I like the setup here, how he kind of explains that the elder needs help, to get rid of these two brothers that are causing trouble. I do like how they explain that a little bit. I think kind of what got me with this one was sometimes I kind of lost track of what was happening during the battles. And I did like the comedy that was thrown in there, while he was fighting the two brothers. Um, at the same time, I kind of felt lost with the paneling and the transitioning. I didn't quite know what was going on. Um, but I do appreciate the effort that went into this. I would have liked to see more effort in the backgrounds. Most of these panels don't really have a background. It's either speed lines, or it's black, or it's just all white. You know, I'm flipping through. I really don't see any backgrounds. Essentially, there's a background here, but yeah, I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more of that. But overall, I thought this was a pretty decent one shot. Um, I thought the characters were charming. I thought the story was interesting. I can't say it particularly stood out to me, and it's frustrating because I can't really explain why it didn't stand out to me. Maybe you guys have a better idea, but yeah, I mean, I thought this was pretty decent. What do you think, David?
Yeah, so when you said this title, I didn't really remember, but then it didn't really stand out to me either. I guess, like I said, I'm not a fan of pun mangas, but now that I'm looking over it again, I do like the art and I can respect it, but I guess something about the story just didn't really grab me. So it
Mm,
felt like so that's
yeah.
just for me though.
Yeah. Austin Morgan, if you guys have any other final thoughts on Mendel Peace by Rob Future, uh, say it now, forever hold your peace.
Forever hold your Mendel piece.
Mendel
Um,
Peace.
yeah,
Like
it's
that.
funny. Like I don't really know what the name implies, or I mean, it's certainly a catchy name. Maybe it has to do with these flowers that he brings to this planet. This is a rare case where the character I really enjoyed, and I really only remembered this story because of him. The rest of it is like, oh, okay, he just battles some guys. There's some interesting gags. But I think he is really the star of the show, and I think the creator did a good job of showing him off and providing a character that was fun to follow along with.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, awesome. Yes, that is Mendel Peace by Rob Future. If you really liked Mendel Peace, go ahead and give him your vote by accessing the latest issue of Saturday AM on our app or on your web browser on your computer. Either one works. Let's go ahead and move on to our next story, Ghost Slayer Rex by Tabiwas Dakota Art. And this artist, I believe, is from. Do you guys recognize this flag?
Nope.
I
No.
do not.
Oh no!
You think
Oh
I should know this
no!
because I worked with them, but I don't remember.
Oh, Ghost Slayer Rex. Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up now. Hold on, give me 1 second. I have it on my survey. So, okay, tap. Okay, oh, interesting. Okay, Tapiwas Dakota is from North Cyprus, so that is the North Cyprus flag.
What
Nice.
is that? Where is that?
Near
North.
Greece,
North Cyprus,
Cyprus.
isn't North Cyprus? Okay, my husband's saying it's an island south of Turkey, so he uh
Oh.
he's really good with his geography, so I trust his opinion. Yeah, I would have not known that was North Cyprus though, but very interesting. You know, anytime we get artists that are located, you know, around the world and places where we normally don't receive submissions, it's always, you know, we're always looking forward to that. But yeah, let's go ahead and let me read his description for his one shot for you guys. Ghost Slayer Rex. It's about random people who are brought back to life. You know, those people are called ghosts, and ghosts have supernatural powers. One of these, a recently resurrected young man, he must hunt down a powerful ghost who apparently stole his soul before, and he has to find his soul before his body falls apart. So that is Ghost Slayer Rex. And I just want to say off the bat, um, you know, it's very interesting. Very, it feels very kind of Danny Phantom ish. Just reading kind of this plot a little bit. But what did you think about this, David? Reading this.
Um, this I like the style, unique. It reminded me of that one manga in Bakuman, when they were like coming up with concepts, the authors. I think there was a concept. I forgot the one
Crow.
character, the crazy. Crow, yeah, he came up
Crow.
with an idea near the end about a zombie or something. So that's what this instantly reminded me of.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The panels pop out. It's very stylistic. I wouldn't. Oh, and it also reminds me of another one. I forgot the artist's name. This is way back in the day. He had his own manga called Shark Knife or something, and he was like an American-based. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Gotcha. What do you think, Morgan?
Yeah, I know you're talking about Shark Knife.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that style. Very, very frenetic and very angular,
yeah,
very cartoony style as well.
yeah,
I personally really liked the story and the narrative here. Love the art style as well. The sort of minimal use of tones, but a lot of black and white and contrast. I think it was a personally a nice touch to have the character sort of monologuing his backstory to kind of help explain what's happening without too much like overused exposition. Like and if anything, I think it made me like the main hero more. It seemed more relatable that he's kind of like talking to the audience and sort of telling his story. The biggest issue I had here was this little this flashback scene. I don't think it was necessary at all. I think that actually took away from it. I think there was a bit of mystery around the main character and how he became this way. And I think it would have just been nice to keep it to the scenes in particular where he's, hunting these ghosts, where I think the flashback really it interjected itself in a weird way, and I think it could have done without that. But otherwise, I think this was a really strong entry. I love the ending, and I love the character design as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. What do you think, Austin?
I have a lot of love for this style that he has going on right here. There's a lot of energy. Um, there was like there's just so much motion he has, and like it feels real. Like it feels like all the cling clang clang clang, like all of the like fluidity of the panels and the bodies and the way that they're swinging their weapons. It's it's like very very stylistic, and it's I got a lot of respect for it. The story, it is one of those ones that was um, at its core very simplistic, which is kind of what I mostly like to deal with. Hint hint for next year, guys. Um, but but they're like at the end of the day, I think this does what a one shot at the like the priority of the one shot is supposed to do, and that's to entertain you. And this is a very entertaining one shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe this creator has made comics before. I mean, I could be wrong, but I have seen them kind of dabbling with comics and paneling before. So, I feel like they know what looks cool and what feels cool. And this artist's strongest point, I would say, is those dynamic poses and the dynamic perspectives. That they're not afraid to really push it with a risky pose, and it works. It just works. And that's a really strong point. Like, just if you look at this, him rushing, and the panel layout just matches that tenacity. I just you feel it. It's just as Austin says, you really feel them fighting. So this artist is very, very talented. I will say I also really love the narration. I thought the narration was probably one of the strongest out of all of the entries. Yeah, I love the build up. I love like the badass attitude, and how he kind of rides his car onto the scene. I thought everything about that was like super cool. I would say the only thing I would have liked maybe a little bit, I'd like to seen a little bit more refinement when it comes to some of the line art. Like if you look at these clouds, they were done in a hurry, but like some of these are just very kind of wonky clouds. The lines aren't, like what do you call them, like straight, they aren't straight lines. And like right here where he's kind of, it's supposed to be smoke, so smoke's not going to be straight, but I almost feel like it was too bold in some places and it looked kind of too scribbly. And then in other places, it's very solid line art. Like right here, this character holding, I think it's a scythe or something. You know, very obvious with the line art and what he was trying to do. But then you kind of look at something like this or like this area, and it looked like it was really quickly drawn together, which kind of clashes with that carefully drawn out line art. So that's probably my biggest critique of that. It didn't quite match with me, but I loved this one shot. This is probably like a runner up, I would say, for me, like on my favorite list. So um what do you think? What do you think, Morgan? I feel like you might have something to say.
Oh, more than what I did say. No, I mean I agree with a lot of what you said. I mean, I think that this was definitely in the top 5, top 3 maybe, even
Mm,
for me. Would love to see more from this artist. Really happy that they could contribute this year.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you guys have any other final thoughts on Ghost Slayer? Ghost Slayer Rex?
None for me.
Nope.
All right, cool. The Cypress artist, Ghost Slayer Rex. Let's move on. All right, so we have, last but not least, A Mighty Sword by Piggy Hammer. And the artist is Vietnamese, and she currently lives in the UK. So I know we're going to be seeing some interesting cultural references here. But David, would you mind reading the description of Mighty Sword?
A lone warrior must face an almighty god to retrieve a holy sword. The arrogant god deems he her unworthy of fighting him, but she will prove to him she's no mere woman.
I love that. Ugh, the power in your voice, David. That was awesome.
That's what being a teacher does.
Very good, very good.
I hear that.
Yeah.
A mighty sword. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. I'll go ahead and start with David's thoughts on this story. We'll just stick with you. What did you make of Piggy Hammer's one shot?
I thought the color pages were beautiful. I think the art has a lot of Asian influence, obviously, and you know, so it was I was able to follow along with the story. It wasn't difficult for me to follow along. The flow, the paneling was nice. It kind of reminded me of Rumiko Takahashi, like the way she would panel a story.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm,
but the tones, um, she's clearly talented with the way how she does toning and all that. So, but the color pages were magnificent for me.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Austin?
Um, so it was a pleasure working with Peggy Hammer because she was probably the one that I worked with the most with constructing this one shot of hers. Definitely, she um, really challenged herself to do a lot of dynamic poses, a lot of action shots. Um, so she really tried to, step out of her shell and her comfort zone with this one shot. Um, so it's really nice. It's she has like a lot of mob psycho comedy, which is also, I'm a big fan of. So her and I really like connected over this, and it
Awesome.
was a pleasure working with her. And this this story definitely, it hits. And I remember like discussing the theme with her about like how we have a god um, who does everything and also like is just all talk versus our main character who doesn't talk. and the theming of actions speak louder than words. So
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, this is a very powerful one shot. I agree. What do you think, Morgan?
Yeah, no, again, this is another great example of a very well told story in a short amount of pages. Obviously, love the narrative, love the main character. I thought that it was interesting. I had read somewhere before I'd even read the one shot that she only says like one thing, and I thought that, oh well, how do you pull that off? And I think that Piggy Hammer did such a great job of selling this very compelling female warrior character in the story. The color pages obviously are very much a work of art. I would love to see more of them, but I think that she did a great job keeping them minimal to the pages that mattered.
Hmm.
The introduction of the lore at the beginning, I think, was really well done as well. Again, kind of hiding the fact that this is a female warrior diving into the lake and going after this weapon. But I just love those pages at the beginning. I think they were just very well done. My only criticisms were the action sequences. Again, big props to anyone who attempts to do that if they're not used to doing action sequences. But I think that they still could be improved upon in future works by Peggy Hammer. They were just a little hard for me to read.
Hmm.
And then one last thing. I didn't mean to talk too much on this one, but I also think it's impressive the tones that she used. Sometimes tones can be a bit much, but I think hers almost looked like watercolor on her pages. So I think she did a very good job of balancing that in her artwork and making it look um, visually as compelling as her colored pages.
Yeah, yeah, and uh, I have to agree with you guys. The Piggy Hammer's her story was very strong. How how she introduced the characters was strong. You get attached to I believe the main character. Her name is Mi Chow. I'm sorry if I'm butchering her name. But you get attached to her, and even at the ending, you see that she's fighting for someone who looks like they're injured or they're sick, or maybe they died. And you just come to appreciate all these characters, even the god who's looking down on her. You sort of get an attachment to him as well. But I really love this. I thought this was probably one of the strongest one shots that we got this year. um, I will say, um, the story is really powerful. The setup very good. The artwork would probably be the next thing Piggy Hammer would want to continue to improve on and level up with. Um, she is very talented. I think I'd like to see her go even more farther with just her posing and just practicing, getting better and better at art. Because clearly she can go the distance. So I definitely love to see more work from her. And I love the Vietnamese mythology too. I thought that was a very strong point as well. You guys who are interested in joining Saturday AM. A big thing we love to see is we love cultural. We love to see there's ideas from your own country or just things that haven't really been explored yet. We're a sucker for that. So Piggy Hammer, she hit all the right spots with this one. So kudos to her. But yeah, that is Piggy Hammer from representing Vietnam from the UK. And let's go ahead and review all of the entries that we've got so far. We have, going back to our list here, Giga Strike by Young Wavy the Artist, Monster Project by Jealous Studios, Mendel Peace by Rob Future, Ghost Slayer Rex by Tappy Wastakota Art, and A Mighty Sword by Piggy Hammer. The time has come. Which one of these is your top favorite out of all of these? Let's go ahead and go around the room. Austin, which one was your favorite among these entries? And you could explain why or just quickly. But
do
let's hear your
it
thoughts.
sounds like I shouldn't sounds like I shouldn't be the one to choose a favorite, to be honest. Um how do I like pick one without being crucified? Um,
We did it in the last
um,
episode too. It's art
fair
is
enough.
subjective. Art is subjective. So
Okay. Objectively speaking, my favorite out of the five that we went over would go to, um, I would say, Piggy Hammer with Tapiwa coming as a runner-up.
okay, all right, cool. David, what would you say was your favorite among these entries?
Oh, my favorite out of all of them was the main character is the bird. I forgot the title.
Aquila the Mighty.
Yeah, Quila the Mighty. That's my favorite out of all of them. That
Okay,
was personally my favorite out of all of
okay. What
them. But
about
if I were to pick
these ones? Yeah,
the ones we reviewed today, I liked Mighty Sword. Mighty Sword was good.
yeah, yeah. Okay, awesome. What about you, Morgan?
Yeah, my sentiments are pretty much the same as Austin's. I'd pick probably Piggy Hammer as my top favorite, and then Ghost Slayer Rex is a very close runner-up. I think the only difference between the two is that Piggy Hammer, I wouldn't take any of the pages away, whereas Ghost Slayer Rex, I think that flashback scene could have gone without.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Cool. And then what, Morgan, which one was your favorite in the previous episode that we did the other day?
Yeah, same as David. I would put Aquila up at the top.
Cool, cool. I would also have to say my personal favorite out of this group was Piggy Hammers, Mighty Sword, probably followed by Young Wavy's Giga Strike. Um, and then for the previous group that we did, I think my favorite was yeah, Aquila and then Don't Lose Your Head. So awesome stuff. Very, very cool. Um, that about wraps up all of the entries that we've got for 2022. You all did a fantastic job. We were really stunned by, your guys' level of talent and really your ability to tell a story. Because there are a lot of artists out there who can draw, but who may not be able to tell a story at all. And, to some degree, you guys are able to do that. And we thought that all of your guys' entries were just full of inspiration and talent and what we see from the manga style. So, we want to just thank you guys for taking the time to work with us and, hitting those deadlines. And, we're looking forward to really thinking about all of these entries, considering you guys as an artist, where you are and how we felt working with you. And, we'll reach out to those that we feel like we'd want to move on with, and, if you didn't get chosen, don't worry. You could always try next year or participate in our other events. You could do whatever you want with your comic, but, we just really want to take the opportunity just to say thank you and how much we appreciate you guys. So, with that being said, you guys can read all of their manga and vote for your favorite with our latest issue of Saturday AM. And we also have a survey that you could take to win a Kindle, a new Kindle. Um, and what else we have going on? We have graphic novels coming out this year. We got a whole bunch that we already released: Apple Black, Hammer, Saigami, you name it. And we're gonna have a lot of volume twos coming out at the end of this year. So you could pre-order them on Walmart, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million. And we also got Saturday Con coming up. It's our newest event that we've done starting last year. This year is going to be Saturday Con 2023. And it's going to be in January. So keep a lookout for that because it's going to be a blast, guys. But other than that, do you guys have any last parting thoughts? I'll start with you, Austin, because you look like you're very engaged. So,
My parting thoughts are I hope to work with you guys in the future. Um, all the Summer of Manga creators and all of the up and coming Summer of Manga creators. I look forward to the ones that want to participate next year and the years to come. So yeah, prepare to talk to me. I'm funny. I have a deep voice, and I'm sometimes good looking. So
Sometimes. You're so
yeah.
funny. David, what about you? You have any final thoughts for the audience?
It's always good seeing new talent, and I really, like I said, it's always fun when I read a title that really awakens the imagination, like the one I said earlier. So keep it up, persevere. Um, yeah, just keep going, and read my comic.
Yes, yes. Check out Spoon, guys. What about you, Morgan?
Yeah, always happy to be invited and review a lot of really good talent and new stories that have been submitted to Summer of Manga. Look forward to working with any of the new artists as well, if and when they join us in the main magazine. And just, round of applause to everybody who participated this year. It was a great year, another great graduating class of Summer of Manga. And I think a lot of our readers and other talented artists that didn't participate, they could learn a lot from what was done this year.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know I have just listening to your guys's round table shows years ago. So yeah, again, I want to thank you guys for hopping on, joining last minute. Really appreciate it. But
Thank you for having us.
yeah, yeah. So for you guys watching, we'll be coming out with new roundtable episodes in the future. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media. You can follow all of these guys on social media. Austin Harvey, he's on Twitter, he's on Instagram. Give him a follow. You definitely want to follow this handsome guy. And David Yoon, he's also got an Instagram and a Twitter and his comic, which you can read in Saturday AM on our app. And same thing with Morgan. You can also follow her comic on our app and on social media. So these are very, very talented individuals. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next episode. But until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Au revoir.
Bye bye.